In this video, I'm going to talk about confidence, what it is, and how to build it with 6 evidence-informed ways. And I've always been pretty confident, but there have been moments in my life where I didn't have as much confidence and started to doubt myself. And that's normally when I'm faced with a big rejection. So when me and my girlfriend broke up, I faced a big rejection. When my coach didn't like me, I faced a big rejection. And these are the 2 moments in my life that I was getting feedback from other people that I might like who I am as a person, the qualities I have, and the capabilities is not bringing positive things to my life, and that's why I start to doubt myself for being on the path that I'm on. And it's really tough to be in that situation because you don't have as much confidence in yourself and your abilities and what you're doing. But there's several ways that I've leveraged to build my confidence and also to get my confidence back when my confidence declines. But confidence is trusting your own capabilities, qualities, and judgment, leading to a positive outlook on yourself and your capacity to deal with challenging life situations. And confidence is a really good trait for yourself if you're looking for a partner. When you walk into the room, people can feel your confidence, you have a certain aura about you. When you're in a business meeting or when you're just showing up for people, being a confident person and being comfortable in your own skin, comfortable with who you are, is going to attract a lot of people in your life, and people will be more likely to trust you and they feel the confidence that you have, because I think confidence is a little bit contagious. So if you're confident, other people around you become confident. And these are the maybe 6 or 7 ways that I have used and developed to build my confidence. So the first one is mastery. So mastery is basically just mastering a skill or a task, or mastering your pursuit to a goal. And the reason why I say that, because the first thing you would probably think I would talk about is to tell yourself that you're worthy or that you're awesome in the mirror, that you are this awesome person, and constantly reinforcing that loop. But I would rate that confidence technique quite low. And mastery, what mastery does when you take on a skill or a task and you actually start to master it and improve yourself in it, you realize that before you did that task or skill that you were not capable of it, and you felt like, oh, I have to reach this level of mastery. So it's pretty challenging to think about that. For example, just writing a book. But then when you chunk that task or skill of writing a task down to simple step, like just writing for 1 or 2 hours per day, and you actually start to do that, you start to improve your writing. And as a consequence, you notice that, oh, I was here a couple of months ago, a couple of weeks ago, and now I'm here. I would laugh at myself how I was earlier compared to how I am today. And so it's basically more than thinking is reinforcing your behavior and your comfort in self, your emotional comfort. It's more that behaving influences thinking. So this is a little bit chicken and egg question. So when you feel yourself improving, you start to feel that, oh, I am the person that can master things. I didn't have this skill now, but now I do have it, and I can't wait to master it even more. So it puts you on a positive cycle. But to be able to have mastery, you have to have the humility to start low enough. Instead of me, I'm going to write a book, and I've never written a book in my whole life. Maybe my first task is to write 1 page. Just write 1 page, shitty first draft. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just gonna write 1 page. And that maybe sounds trivial, but if you do that every day, after 200 days, you got a draft for a book. And in that process, when you are writing every day, you will see your writing will improve. Your thinking will get sharper. Your writing will become better. And you will see your progress and master the art of writing, and you will see that you're progressing towards your goal of publishing the book. And one day you will publish the book, and then you will also gain confidence. So I think every master was once a beginner. So you have to have the humility of starting low enough and to allow yourself to just be a beginner, to start as a fool even. If you start low enough, you actually have a chance to make progress towards that skill, and that's going to help you to go on the path to become a master. When I started my podcast, I didn't know what I was doing. I looked at my first episode when I had it in Iceland, and it's not pretty. But after I published and I had 200 podcast episodes, I noticed after the 201 that I was actually getting quite good at this. So, but me having expectation that I will be as good as I was for the 200 episodes at the first one is just going to put pressure on me and unrealistic expectation that I'm not going to withhold. And of course I'm going to do mistakes. Of course I'm not going to have everything figured out. But if I'm willing to put in the reps, I will one day become way better at it. And that will bring me confidence in what I'm doing basically. So, and the same thing can said be with social media, and I'll go over that in another video. I think the second one I want to talk about is to having courage when you're afraid. Because I don't like the message like don't be afraid, because all creatures, like Batman says, all creatures fear fear. It isn't about not being afraid, it's about developing the courage to face your fear and become more courageous as a consequence when the fear arises. So this is exercise from Brené Brown that I like, and she takes a quote from Joseph Campbell, and the quote is, in the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Meaning that the cave is dark, it's scary, it's isolating, but in that cave it's the treasure you seek. To be able to see the treasure in the cave, you have to go into the cave first. Yes, it will be hard, yes, you will be afraid, but despite that, if you do it either way, you're going to get the treasure. So one thing in psychology, we know that when people are afraid of something, that if you look at your fear, you define your fear, and you look at it voluntarily, and you define small steps to become more courageous towards that fear, then people become more courageous. So for example, if I'm afraid of talking to strangers, because I'm afraid that I will say something wrong, they will reject me, I won't have anything to say, etc. Like the first step might be to practice with a trusted friend of how you would communicate to a stranger. The second step might be identify an event or an experience that you enjoy and you feel comfortable around, and just be there. The third step might be going to that event again and smiling to one person, and the next one smiling to 3 persons. And the next one, you decide to strike up one conversation with people. And the next one, you strike up conversation with 3 people. You see where I'm going. So it's building your courage slowly but surely. But the step that you should take, you should be afraid, but not too afraid that you wouldn't do it. It doesn't have to be like such a big step. But if you have one step that is manageable for you, you still feel fear, but you could do it and you would do it, then that's the next step. And if you just continue to put in those reps, just like with the mastery, you will start to become more courageous to other things, because this transfers to other things in your life, and you acquire the data that when you're faced with fear, you can develop the courage to overcome something. And that will go back in your personal CV, which I will talk about later on. That's going to make you more confident, because you know you're a person that, although this person is afraid, I'm still going to do it. And that makes you really confident. I just talked about this personal CV. So most of us know about like professional CV, so our accomplishment personal-wise, about the grants that we got, the experience that we have, the accomplishments that we have in school and in some workplaces. But a personal CV is to write out a personal CV of your life, because I'll tell you because in a minute, and write both your objective but also your subjective accomplishments in, and just flash all of your accomplishments in your life. And what you're doing there, you're reminding yourself of who you are. And these accomplishments can be something big, like I graduated from a graduate program, or they can be I got a job that I was working for 5 years. But it could also be like I have a 100% record of overcoming all the hard days of my life. That's arguably even a better personal CV than some external accomplishments that you have. Or it could be when I have a really rough conversation with my friends, I can still show empathy. So these are the kind of subjective ones that maybe the outer world hasn't seen, but they mean much to you. So if you write those down and also write the external one or your external accomplishments. As I said, you're just reminding yourself of who you are, and we actually don't do this, and because we tend to think about all of our failures and losses and what we did wrong in the past, but which is natural because our brain actually evolved by attending more to negative stimuli than positive stimuli, because if I thought there was a bear close to me and I ran away because I'm afraid, versus that I just went to the bear and I hugged him, the other person that ran away was probably more likely to live and transmute the genes. So we have this kind of negativity bias. But what we're doing with the personal CV, we are rewiring our brain and remind of the positive things and positive accomplishments that we have made in our lives, and that's going to give us a sense of comfort that we are the person that can achieve similar accomplishments in the future. And accomplishments give us a lot of confidence because you have a stack of undeniable proof that you say who you say you are. So that's really good. And it's just, I sometimes forget who I am. Then I remind myself of what I actually have accomplished and how I did that. So when I'm uncertain about something in the future, or I'm not as confident about it, I just remind myself that I've faced tasks and done accomplishments that are way, way harder than I'm experiencing now. And I ask myself, like, what did I do there that I can use now that will also help me to achieve these goals? And it's just having subjective or objective accomplishments is just, yeah, it's just really good foundation of your confidence. And that, again, this comes from action. The three things that we mentioned, that comes from action and not like more of talking positively to yourself. It's something that you have done. But also, like, what I like to do sometimes is that sometimes I forget who I am. So getting feedback from other people, or feedback, or getting a reminder of the person who I am through other people in my life. And I have two people in my life currently that are really good at reminding me who I am, because sometimes I forget. So one exercise that we have in psychology is to ask a couple of friends of yours, friends, family members, or coworkers even, and ask them, hey, can you name my three biggest strengths? Which I'll talk about the strengths later. Can you name my three biggest strengths and how I add value to your life? And then they will write that out, and you say also, can you bring a story of each one in action, or whatever. Not whatever, you do that. And then you send you these stories, and I have this document because I did this exercise like 3 years ago. Then I have like so many friends of mine and family members and coworkers that gave me the feedback I needed to feel confident. And sometimes when I'm less confident, I go into that document just to read and over and remind myself who I am. So you can ask people, hopefully you have people who remind you who you are, but you can also ask people about giving you feedback about what is best being you and how you add value to their lives. I think that's a great way to increase the confidence in your life that you have, because you have to be reminded of your capacity, your abilities, your judgment, and your strengths. Fifth one, role models. So I have here on the wall, in the right of me, I have my personal board of directors. So I have like probably 15 pictures of people that have somehow impacted my life. And what I mean by invisible board of directors is that you're not directly to these people, but these people have influenced my life a lot. And each of these people are my role models in life. And when you have role models, they actually show you the path that you're on. There's, by the way, a reason why you have role models, because there's something about them that makes you like them and aspire to be like them. They've shaped the path that they are on that you can follow, and they showcase that the path that you aspire to is possible, but at the same time you can then use the path or learn from their path, but also craft your own in the meantime, which helps you to move more effectively in the world. And also about role models is that this is a really good exercise actually, to define what is it about them that you like about them. Be precise. Like, is it how articulate they are? Is it how well they tell stories? Is it how much work ethic they got? And try to study what are the qualities or attributes about this person, because there is this theory that these qualities live in you, or you just haven't made them real, but there's a reason why these qualities are calling to you. And then we go back into mastery and courage to be able to develop these qualities. But I've taken something from so many people in my life. One quality, I played with this guy, and one quality that he's a fantastic guy from Iceland, a musician, and I played soccer with him. And I noticed that in every room he steps, the room gets a little bit brighter. And I was like, wow, what an amazing quality. And I was like, I'm gonna be the person that walks into any room or talks to any person, and I'm gonna make their world brighter. And I started doing that. And now I would argue that that is inherent into who I am as a human being. And that makes me even more confident because I'm giving away to something to people and I know this is an attractive skill to have, etc. So define your role models, 3 or 5, study their path, and because they increase the belief you have in your abilities as well, because if they can do it, you can do it, and then study their qualities and relentlessly map those qualities on and how you can enhance these qualities in your life because they live within you. One thing big in positive psychology is called character strengths. And these are basically character traits that gives you energy, help you to succeed in life and overcome challenges and increase your social competence. So I'll put a link in the description, but there's a test that you can actually answer questions and tests your top 20, analyzes your 24 strengths and ranks them in order. So you can identify top 5 of your strengths. And these strengths and how they designed this test is based on scientific foundation. And they found that there were these 24 character strengths were in each culture. They were good in and of themselves. They had some positive aspect about being used, and there was also a role model in each culture that has this strength. And I do think it wasn't like they have a positive outcome. They were good in and of themselves. They didn't analyze the outcome. Anyhow. And they have mapped this and scientifically studied this, and the reason why I say it, because again, negativity bias. What's wrong with us? What did we do wrong? Why am I so fucked up? Why am I so fucked up? Because it is such a common thing to understand why I'm such a loser I am. And then like, how about rephrasing the question? Like, why am I so great? What makes me a fantastic human being? What are the good things about me? And when you do that, you are actually attend to the good things about you. And confident people, they know what they're good at and they know their strengths, and they build their life up on their strengths, and they remind themselves of their strengths, and they leverage their strengths in pursuit of their goals, in the pursuit of in their relationships, and in the pursuit of being more resilient when they're faced with obstacles. Like, my top character strength often is, and I'm just thinking about an example about the spot, and honesty, authenticity. And sometimes, when I'm faced with difficult decision or I'm going through a tough situation, I can always fall back to my honesty. That's my strength. So I can have tough conversation and be honest, both with other people and myself. And I can leverage honesty to make big decisions that are going to impact my life to a large extent, which means that I'm taking an authentic decision. And I do that by being brutally honest with myself and the people, although I'm like scared about myself knowing the truth, but also scared how other people will take the truth. So these character strengths, we have a lot of them, and they're under 6 virtues. So one virtue is, for example, bravery, and under that we have courage, we have authenticity, and we have a lot of things more. We have also a virtue of transcendence, and that's having a zest for life, appreciation of beauty, having hope, spirituality. Then we have temperance, which is related to self-regulation, humanity. We have social competence strengths, and that's leadership, teamwork, etc. But there's a lot of strength, like love, curiosity, love of learning, fairness. There's a lot of strengths that you are not probably aware of that is still who you are. And the more that you double down on your strength and not only correct your weaknesses and accept them, but also nurture your strengths and use them, because one thing is knowing them and the other magic ingredient is actually using them in the world. And I have this in my workbook. If you want to get it, you just have to sign up to my newsletter. As I said earlier, it's going to improve your relationship, it's going to put you up to an up spiral, you're going to remind yourself of the positive things about yourself, and you're also going to have more fun on the way, and then you're able to have more meaning on the way, because if you use your strengths to contribute to something beyond yourself, your meaning in life and well-being is going to increase. So take the test, or ask people, like I mentioned earlier, getting feedback from people. Ask people, what do you think are my strongest character traits? And can you tell me a story about them? And then you get the feedback from other people, but you can also take the test, and you can then decide how you want to leverage or use your top 5 character strengths to achieve your goals, enhance your relationship, and overcome difficulties. The last thing I want to do is talk about is, like, remember, it's similar to personal CV, but more like you can do that actively, I would say. And you can, I think that's the right way to phrase it. And celebrating wins is basically going, firstly, like capturing yourself and attending yourself when you do something good and registering that in the system. Like you did something, you had a presentation at work, you listened to somebody when you didn't want to, you didn't go into the phone, although there's a lot of notification and a lot of people that want to reach you, but you didn't go into the phone and you decided to study or to work on your future self. And you can like map that, hey, Beggy, I see what you did there. You were not in your phone, you were just writing for 3 hours, you are a goddamn beast. So registering that in the moment, and then at the end of the day you can ask yourself like, what were my 3 wins today? And again, this can be something big or something small. Normally it's small because we are not achieving something big every day, and that could be like showed up for the gym, that's a big win. I didn't snooze and I woke up, that's a big win. I was innovative at work and I suggested to do tasks that I was proactive in suggesting that instead of being reactive of doing the task I'm told to do. Like all of these stuff, by just registering those. We're working on the system. We have this negativity bias. We're making the system more positive. When you celebrate wins, you are registering that the fact that the person who you say you are, and that's going to increase your confidence because then you have the foundation of being reminded that you're a goddamn remarkable person, and you're less in the I'm so miserable, I'm a failure, I did nothing right, which is gonna diminish your confidence. So these are some of the tools that you can try out. I've used them all to gain my confidence back, but also proactively build my confidence. And I want to take one note that most of this isn't from like something, confidence doesn't come from just feeling something from outside of your life, it also comes from the inside. So being reminded of who you are, but also from the inside of it's your life and you're not comparing yourself to other external accomplishments. Your life and your character and your skills and your courage that is filling you on the inside, and then you feel comfortable in your own skin rather than you're just looking for these external things to give you confidence, because confidence comes way more from the internal, and people who have external accomplishments, they aren't necessarily just confident because they have external accomplishments, because of the behavior that led them to the external accomplishments and all the stuff that they did on the way, which was like, when I wanted to give up, I kept on going. When somebody in my work quit, I kept on going as well, and I recruited other people, like wanted to give up so badly, like I still kept on going. So, and I worked for something for 10 years. So like the things that brings you to the external accomplishment is what is going to give you confidence, but also the external as well. But I think I want to end up with Alex Hormozi quote, which is a business guy that I've been following for a long time. And he says, confidence doesn't come from shouting affirmations in the mirror. It comes from having an undeniable stack of evidence that you are who you say you are. So I do think if you enhance your mastery, your courage, you remind me of your personal CV, you have role models and you put what they have done in action, you celebrate your wins and you build your life up of character strengths, your confidence is inevitably going to increase. So I'll talk in another video about the relationship that we have to ourselves and about the judge that judge you, but I hope that you use some of these, and some of these are in the workbook that I have on my webpage. I'll put it in the bio. But otherwise, just keep on going, keep on building that evidence, keep on facing your fears, keep on developing your skills, and nurture what is good about you, and you will become more confident. And that is an attractive trait, and that being confident will open doors for you. People will like you more, they'll be attracted to you, and being more confident can open a lot of doors in your life, but it also isn't always an easy task. So keep crushing it, you're growing into the beautiful person you are. See you soon.